What's good? What's up? I'm here. We're back. This is L Teddy 27, Angry Teacher Chronicles, and we're back for another review. This is going to be our review for the ABC Limited Series for Life, and this is episode 6. And this is going to be our review for episode number 6. And let me start off by saying I'm so glad about those of you, or I'm glad to see the comments that you all leave, and I'm happy to see that you all are enjoying these reviews. I will keep putting them out as long as the show is still airing, and I hope you enjoy. Continue to leave comments in the comment section. At the end of the video, I will put my contact information up, and to include email, Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff on there. All right, so let's get started. So we start off with the warden and her assistant. They're looking at surveillance cameras and so forth, watching the captain, whose name is Foster, Captain Foster, bringing stakes into the jail. And we know the stakes are how Foster gets the drugs into the jail. However, the stakes are a long-standing tradition in the jail. It's not something that they normally do. It's not customary for a CO or a captain, even at that, to bring this type of stuff into the jail. But um, nevertheless, this has been a long-standing tradition, and we know that the warden is not orthodox in how she runs the jail. So they keep it going. I think that the warden and her little assistant guy have kind of figured out that that is how the drugs are getting in. They didn't come out right and say it, but I do believe she's figured that out. Next, we see Aaron. Aaron is looking at his files, and he thinks he's found some information that may help him with regard to there having been an informant for them that the prosecution was using, but was never really called to the stand. Either that or someone that was a hired informant for the prosecution. He believes it's one of the two. Is either an informant that they based their whole case off of that was never called to the stand, or it's an informant that the prosecution had hired to work for Aaron so that they could try to catch Aaron. So he tells Jamal all about, what he's found. Jamal is his boy. That's his ride or die. That's his dog for real, for real. I like Jamal. I like what the part that Jamal plays in Aaron's world and in Aaron's life, and how Jamal is that confidant that always is looking out for his well-being. So I really like Jamal. Next, we see Captain Foster, and he talks to Wild Bill. And we know Wild Bill works in conjunction with Captain Foster, and, they run the drug trade, the drug cartel there in the prison. And so Captain Foster hasn't been bringing drugs in recently because the block is hot. The warden has been looking, and so Wild Bill wants to know when the drugs coming back. And Captain Foster's like, listen, you gotta give me some time, let some eyes get up off us. And then he just basically summarizes it. Hello, you are a prisoner. I'm CO. I got way more rights in this than you do. I mean, stand down. So anyway, so that that's what happens. That's the conversation between Wild Bill and Foster. But see, the thing about it is, I think Foster may be overplaying his hand because Wild Bill is working in conjunction with the warden, if you remember from either last episode or episode before last. So we'll see how that plays out. Maskins, we see District Attorney D.A. Maskins. He talks with one of his cronies about putting a more troubled, or a one of the more I can't even think of a good term. And y'all know I'm always a man of adjectives and terms. I'm just going to use a second grade word, bad guy. But one of the miscreants, I guess you would say, from another prison, from a prison that has more high level prisoners, people who are in there for worse things than are in the prison where the warden is. But anyway, what they want to do is they want to put somebody there that will stir it up, that will cause trouble, and that will They want to put somebody at the prison where Aaron is at that will cause trouble, that will make the warden be busy taking care of what he's got going on, and that way she won't be have as much time to look out for Aaron and help Aaron out with everything Aaron has going on. So that's what Maskins is working on. The Marie's father comes in town, and Marie's father is from out of town, and he's concerned about how vested Marie is with Aaron and Aaron's cases and so forth, and how she's still holding on to Aaron and that whole thing. And um, Dad has a problem with this, so he's in town to really talk to her and try to see if he can break the bond that Marie has with Aaron. So then we see Aaron back in court about this information that he found out, and so forth. So ADA Riley is who he's up against before the judge. And so the judge allows them to investigate because there's something called a Darden trial or Darden case, something with Darden. I think it's called a Darden hearing. I think that's what it's called, Darden hearing. Anyway, Aaron is trying to get a Darden hearing so he can reopen up and find out how they got this, find out about this informant that I spoke to you about earlier. So after that, after the judge allowed it, of course, ADA O'Reilly goes over there and talk to Maskins, and he says, "Listen, we need to be concerned with how Aaron got those files." And O'Reilly immediately said, I bet it's that guy, the police officer whose brother Aaron represented." He said, "I'm almost sure it's that guy." So he's kind of figured that out already. And I told y'all after that episode, when they dropped that stuff off to Aaron, when Marie dropped that stuff, I said, this is going to come back to bite that. We call him Sexual Chocolate Cop. Sexual Chocolate Cop, we said that this was going to come back to bite him in the butt because you knew he wasn't going to get away unscathed. You knew that. I said that. So after they leave the jail, there's a new they go to not the jail. After they leave the prison, they go to another jail, a jail known for having, more high profile or worse prisoners than the jail where Aaron is. And he was like, "Well, why are we here?" And so the driver's like, "Well, we're supposed to be picking up somebody to come over to our jail, a transfer." And so then that's when we see 50. 50. He's playing this character named Cassius. 50 don't gain some weight for this role. He's kind of big. So anyway, next we see Marie's father talking to Darius, and he gives Darius this engagement ring. I believe it's the ring that Dad gave Marie's mother, or something like that. It's a family engagement ring, and he was like, "Here, you need to propose to her ASAP." And so Darius tells him, I kind of can't because Aaron never signed the divorce papers. And so Dad is kind of upset by that. And we know Dad is going to try and infiltrate all of that. I'm telling you. So then we see 50. He goes to the jail. The warden tries to, give him the scoop on what type of prison this is. And, hey, I've done my research on you, this, that, and the third. He was like, "I did my research on you too." And you can see right off, he's not here to do her any good. He's here for the shits. He is here for the shits. So 50 sits down. They're at I guess the lunch or dinner, and he sits at this table that's empty. Nobody's there. Apparently that's the table that Wild Bill and the area nation sit at. So 50 is sitting there, and I know 50 knows that. I know he has to know that. So Aaron goes over there and says, "Hey, you probably should sit here. There's a reason the table is empty." While he's saying that, Wild Bill comes over there with his entourage, and he was like, "Why you here? The colored section is over there. All this, that, and the third." 50 Cent bucks up and say, "I'm here, and you ain't gonna move me." CO gets involved. CO comes over and says, correctional officer comes over and says, "Hey, this is Wild Bill's table. You new here. Find you somewhere else to sit." And I kind of understand that because if you're a CO, listen, if they've been sitting there and we ain't here to make no way. This is prison for God's sake. And we ain't trying to start no gang wars or gang right. If that's where people sit, let people sit where they sit. You go find you one person, you go find you another seat. So I kind of agree with that. Um, so anyway, while after that, Wild Bill, um, Cash gets up and moves, and he comes over to Aaron and say, "Appreciate you for warning me and everything." So we're back at Marie's house. Marie's father keeps going on and on and on about Aaron. And he was like, "Oh, why every other conversation got to be about Aaron, this, that, and the third?" And Jasmine is there, Darius is there, Marie's there, they're having dinner. And so he's going on and on and on about Aaron. And Jasmine was like, "Well, hey, that is my father." Da 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 da. Marie calls him outside and says, hey, boo, I'm grown. Yes, you're my father, but I'm grown. I can make my own decisions. I do love Aaron. I love Darius. I'd have made a whole life for Darius, but I love Aaron too. And whether or not you think he's innocent or guilty, I love him. I have not stopped loving him. I will not stop loving him. And if there's anything I can do to help Aaron, I will continue to do that. So she let her father know in no short terms that, listen, leave it alone, let it go. I mean, it only makes sense because of how everything went down. And then Jasmine, the daughter. So, but she did admit she still loves Aaron and is in love with Aaron despite everything. So back at the jail, Cash rolls up on Aaron. Aaron like, "How you get up in here? I got friends. Don't worry about all that." So Cash done found out that Aaron got a burner phone. Aaron want to know how he found out. He told him, "Listen, Bobby, Bobby can't hold water. You shouldn't have told Bobby. That's how I found out. You don't need to tell him your secrets." So Cash said, "Listen, I need to make some calls." Aaron was like, "Nah, I don't do that." He was like, "Do you think, knowing what I know, I can get your phone taken?" So basically, he was trying to extort the phone out of Aaron. So Aaron lets him make one call, which I immediately wrote down is a bad idea. The call that Aaron make that Cash makes on his phone is putting a hit out on Captain Foster. They said, "Listen, don't hurt him, but let him understand that we mean business." So it was a hit that he was putting out on Captain Foster, and he made that with the burner phone. Put a put a note in that, okay? Put a bookmark on that part. So then we're back at court. ADA O'Reilly is has Sexual Chocolate on the stage. So Sexual Chocolate holds his ground. ADA Riley was like, "How did you get these files? Did you get files?" He was like, "No." "Why are you in the file room?" "Because that's part of my job. I was looking up this, that, and the third." He basically tries to get him to admit that he gave the file, copied the files, and gave them to Aaron. He said, "Are you saying that you did not copy these files and give them to Aaron Wallace under, grounds that you could perjure yourself?" He was like, "No, I didn't." So basically, he got him to perjure himself on the stand I mean, they don't know it yet, but we know he's perjured himself about giving Aaron the files. Back at the prison, apparently by the time Aaron gets back to the prison, brother Sexual Chocolate don't call Hassan, because y'all know that's Hassan's brother. And Hassan sees Aaron and tells Aaron, "Listen, I don't want my brother, and my brother doesn't want to be involved in you and your brand of fuckery, this, that, and the third. Stay the fuck away from me. Stay away from my family." But the thing about it is, Hassan, your brother inserted himself into that. Your brother should have left it like he said he was going to do and not given Aaron the files. But he was down for it, so he ain't got nobody to be mad with but himself. Meanwhile, um, back at a meeting, the warden's wife is having with the correctional officers union. They tell her, "Listen, your wife, the warden of this prison, has some really, liberal ideas about prisons. Ones that wants to cut the number of people in prisons and cut the number of prisons that we have." And they was like, "We cannot endorse you if your wife is spitting out stuff that's going to cause our people to lose jobs." So if these are and they had pulled one of her wife's one of the warden's dissertations, and was using the language in the warden's dissertation for her doctorate to say that those were her feelings, about everything, and that if she's going to run for DA, that her wife, the warden, can't be having these ideas if they're going to endorse her. Warden's wife goes home, tells the warden about everything and says, listen, you got to come up off some of this stuff because I need this endorsement. I can't win DA without their endorsement. I need this endorsement. So you got to come up off some of your liberal stances and some of your opinions and beliefs about the prison system and criminal justice system, at least until I get in office, and then you can go in and let have after that. So the warden's kind of apprehensive about doing that, but she don't have a whole lot of choices. Then we're back in the judge's chamber for this Darden hearing that I told you about. This is a big win for Aaron because what ended up happening was Aaron proved that the guy who was his friend that was working for him in the club, the Angelo guy, had been a paid informant for the police department for a long time. And the whole time he was, in cahoots or working with Aaron and working for Aaron, he was working for the police at the same time. And so the judge says, I'll reopen all of this. I need all of these files, this, that, and the third. The judge will be right to him. She said, the files right here in your briefs. Open that up. Run me these good files. And it was a big win for Aaron. I wrote that down, big win. But that's something to find out that his friend Angelo had been working with the police the whole time. That's why he so easily turned on Aaron. So then we're back at the jail. Cash pretty much goes up to Aaron and punks Aaron out of his burner phone and says, listen, that phone you got, that's my phone. Because if people find out the call that I made on your phone, that could put you out for a long time. Remember, I told you he had called to put a hit out on Captain Foster. So Aaron knows he's caught between a rock and a hard place. So he got to think about it. Jamal, he goes and talks to Jamal about it. Jamal says, listen, this guy is a lifer. He's a lifelong criminal. Every time he's up for parole, he does something to keep himself in jail. He ain't trying to get out of jail. He ain't trying to do good. He is nothing but trouble. You don't need this kind of smoke. And so Jamal's trying to give him advice. Listen, you don't need this kind of smoke. You're going to need some protection from this guy. Okay? Back at the house, Marie's father leaves, quote unquote, leaves, and is leaving town, going back home, flying out home. But before he flies out home, he goes to visit Aaron at the prison. And he talks to Aaron and says, listen, I'm talking to you, father to father, husband to husband. You need to sign them divorce papers. And so he tries to convince Aaron to sign the divorce papers. Aaron ain't here for it. Aaron looked at him, why now? And, they had a little back and forth, but you could tell Aaron is not here for it. But who knows? Aaron might acquiesce and sign it. But as of right now, he ain't here for it. Next thing we know, Aaron goes to lunch. And long story short, Aaron ends up giving the phone to Cash. And even this whole thing, Cash has him. Anytime Cash needs something from Aaron, he's finna go and punk Aaron. And so I want to see how this transpires through the rest of this series, because we know he's about to play a significant role in stopping what Aaron has going on. We'll see. The last thing we see is the goons that Cash called to put the hit out on Foster. They go to Foster's house. They have his wife and it looks like maybe his brother or his father tied up and everything. They got guns in their face. He was like, take whatever you want. Take whatever you want. They're like, we're not here to rob you. But we do have a message from Cash's, whatever his last name. I think it was Davis or Dawkins or something like that. Anyway, so we never find out what it is that Cassius wants because the episode goes off from there. But I would venture to bet it has something to do with Foster now switching up and taking the drug trade from Wild Bill and giving it to Cash because he wants to run all of that. I would venture to say that's probably what it is. We don't know yet. We'll probably find out next episode. But that was the end of the episode. And we saw there are a lot of seeds planted this episode. 50 Cent finally makes his appearance with his character. And we'll see how that character develops and how he thwarts everything that Aaron has going on. So it's really get juicy right now. Lots going on. And I'm glad that whole part about Marie admitting that she was really in love still with Aaron. I guarantee you the father went back and told Darius that too. We'll see how that plays out. But that was For Life, episode 6. I hope you like. Let's get in the comment section and aga about what we saw. Until next time. Thank you all for coming. Y'all drive safely. And I'm out.